I don't know if you know this case. This from Occidental University. Is that
That's
what
where I
it is?
teach, man.
Is that where you teach?
Yeah, Occidental College. Yeah.
Oh,
down the road.
Okay,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Do you know the story about the two young kids? They were freshmen. They
Yes,
were
I
going through
do.
the hazing thing.
Oh.
They both get drunk.
Yes.
And they have sex.
Yes.
And the guy
Yes.
gets expelled.
Yes, they're
for
both-
sexual assault.
They're both drunk.
Not only are they both drunk, but the girl texts her friend, "I'm about to go have sex." Texts him, "Do you have a condom?"
Yeah.
He says yes. He says, "Get over there." She says, "I'm on my way."
Yeah.
She goes over there, and they decide that it's sexual assault because the girl had been drinking. Even though the guy had also been drinking, it's sexual assault. The guy gets kicked out of college. He's in the middle of a lawsuit. I mean, when you're 18 years old, your life is thrown into a turmoil.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kicked out of school for having sex while drunk with a girl who was sex while drunk.
Yeah. So you're about to get me fired. Again.
Really?
Again, yeah. Thanks.
For this?
Thanks, man.
Please speak out.
Yeah, no, God. So this sexual assault, either, depending on your point of view, epidemic or hysteria, the epicenter of it has been Occidental, where I've taught. It started about 2 years ago. This is a long conversation to have.
Please. I think it's an important one,
Okay.
because it's confusing as hell.
Okay. Boy. Okay. So what happened was in 2010 or 2011, the United States Department of Education sent a letter to every university and college in the country that receives federal aid of some kind, which is basically all of them, right? Because of student loans, those are backed by the federal government, and said if you want to continue receiving federal aid for your students, you must adjudicate every case, every accusation of sexual assault on your campus among students. Okay, which means you have to have basically a tribunal of staff and maybe students, but usually it's staff and faculty, right? So it's a panel of 3 or 4 English professors and the dean of students and the facilities guy or whoever, and maybe some students, asking, adjudicating this case. So the woman says, well, we were both drunk and whatever. She tells her story. And he tells his story and says, absolutely did not rape him. She says he absolutely did rape me. Because there's no witnesses almost ever in these cases, right? What can they then do to decide who's responsible here? Or is there someone who's responsible? And what they do is, and I've talked to people who have been on these boards, the only thing you can do is ask about their sexual histories. So you have English professors asking 19-year-olds how many times they've had sex in the last year, what kinds of sex, with whom, how did they feel about it, and then asking the guy the same things, right? And then from that information, and usually it's only that, because that's all you got in most cases, right? With acquaintance rape, it's 2 people in a room, a dark room, then with the door closed, almost always. There's no evidence, right? There's no physical evidence. There's no witnesses usually. From that, they determine responsibility. So that's basically what happened in this case. And the other thing that's a nightmare in a lot of ways, right? I mean, talk about seeking that's justice, right?
It's very bizarre also that this idea has come out of what a lot of people believe to be what you would call feminism.
Yeah.
And what feminism is supposed to push for is equality.
Right.
But not equality when it comes to responsibility for your sexual actions
Right.
while you're intoxicated.
Right. So one of the things that's been infuriating for a lot of people, and a lot of feminists, by the way, is that, in response to, and acquaintance rape definitely fucking happens.
Definitely.
No question about it.
No question.
We know people, I know people very closely it's happened to. There's
Not
no
only
question.
that, we should also say that getting someone drunk and fucking them because they're drunk
Sure.
is gross, and
Sure.
it is rape.
Sure. Yeah.
Or at least getting them loaded to the point where they can't figure out what the fuck is going on.
Right. So one answer that's been proffered by many people, many feminists including, has been to say, hey, don't get blackout drunk at the frat house on Friday night to women, right? And that has been called victim blaming.
Right.
Okay, so you know about this, right? So
Right.
now, if you were to leave it at that, right, say that is the sole answer to this problem, tell women not to get drunk at the frat house on Friday night, maybe that is victim blaming, but that's not what any of us are saying, right?
Well, that's like saying the Rutgers kid that got killed by a bear 2 days ago. Don't run from bears.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Is that victim blaming? No,
Right.
it's fucking wise advice if you
Right.
want to survive a bear
Sure,
attack. Don't
exactly.
run. They chase.
Yeah. I don't have a daughter, but I have a son. But, if I had a daughter, goddamn right, I'm going to tell her not to get blackout drunk at the frat house. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're going to try to stop me and tell me that's blaming my daughter? I don't think so.
I don't think guys should get blackout drunk at the frat house either.
Sure, yeah, right. It's not good for you.
For anybody.
And people fall off of roofs at frat houses and die from it.
Yeah,
right?
and there are people that will take advantage of you, and not just sexually. There's vicious people that will do things to you if they think you're passed out.
Absolutely.
It's just not smart.
Yeah, so feminism, this particular brand of it, one of the things that's not talked about much, and I try to talk about this, is that it takes agency away from women, right? So it's like it's basically saying that women are helpless before these rapists, and all we can do is moralize against the rapists and tell them they're bad. Now, many of those feminists have agreed that it's a very, very tiny percentage of men who are rapists, and that most rapes are committed by something like 4% of men or something like that, or less than 4%. So what are you going to do? You're going to tell those guys, those serial rapists, most of them are serial rapists, that they're bad and they shouldn't rape? How effective is that
really
going to be?
Less, even if it's 1%,
or it's
one out of 100 guys.
No. It's it's of the rapes committed, what is it? It's 4% of the rape. I don't know. It's something like,
it's really hard.
It's a very tiny percentage.
It's really hard to do statistics with rape too, because a lot of people don't report rape, and they're embarrassed and ashamed. And
we do have the Bureau of Justice, Department of Justice has conducted pretty massive surveys of women. So this is not reported crimes. This is just they went and asked women questions about their history with assault. And there's been this massive decline in rapes and sexual assault since the 1990s, like more than 60% decline. So also the talk of a rape epidemic and a rape culture now, I think, is overblown. I mean, of course, there are elements in our culture that are definitely rape cultures, right? I mean, there's no doubt. There's little corners here and there, but the dominant culture is not a rape culture.
Right. And my issue is that the people that are crying out for this, especially the men, it's so suspect. It's so white knighty. The whole thing about it. It's these really emo feminist men who just look like they're just clamoring for female acceptance and love and appreciation, and they're just going way out of their way to talk about this. And I can understand if this is a personal issue. I can understand that anybody would be concerned that a human being would take advantage of another human being, but to make it your primary concern, to make it like this thing that you focus and concentrate on a regular basis all the time, it's like almost like a rape fetish, a rape or victimization fetish, and this apologizing. Do you remember that video that came out, Dear Women? It was one of the most horrific videos ever. It was widely mocked. But it was these really fucked up, socially retarded men who made this video where they were apologizing for all the things that women had to endure from men. But these guys were just creepy fucking weirdos. You've never seen this?
No.
I got to play it for you. Because it's beautiful.
Sure.
It's beautiful in its ridiculousness.
But here's the thing about that. It's like the other message in that is that it's for men to save women.
Right. Exactly.
Excuse me, feminism was about women liberating themselves, right? We can't do it for them. We cannot do it for them, right? So talking to men, talking to those serial rapists about how bad they are and how bad this is, what exactly is that going to accomplish, A? And B, it's putting the responsibility on men, and it's saying women must be saved, which is that is the soul of conservatism, right? To say that we must come save our social inferiors, that is like the essence of old school patriarchy and conservatism. It is, to me, anti-feminist to the bone, and that's what no one's talking about.
Yeah, this idea that the women can't consent because they've had a couple of drinks is a weird issue, because there's clearly there's a scale. Yeah, there's a couple drinks where you're getting silly and you might fuck somebody in a regretful way, like say, I shouldn't have slept with that guy, but it's not rape. But they want to call that rape. But then there's blackout drunk, which is rape.
Sure.
And somewhere along the line, it becomes reprehensible.
Absolutely.
Whether it's 3 drinks in or 4 drinks in, it's debatable.
Sure. Do you know about the bill in the California legislature that's about to be the law of the land, most likely?
No.
So yeah, it's probably gonna pass, so that it's applied to all state schools in California, which defines sexual assault and rape in many ways that completely put all of us in the category of rapist because it includes having sex with someone when they're intoxicated.
Anyone.
Yeah. So
your girlfriend, boyfriend, girlfriend have a couple drinks, laughing and giggling. They make out. They have sex.
Yeah, and they don't even put a sort of a threshold on how many drinks it takes. So I'm a serial rapist according to this law. We all are according to this law. Yeah.
And what is intoxication? There's intoxication that's the limit of alcohol intoxication when you're driving, which a lot of people are debating is too low. Right. That would be legally applied to sex.
Right. So there's another thing that's one of the things I do is I sort of try to expose how conservative a lot of the left is because they don't even realize it. This is really conservative, right? So it's like it's micromanaging our sex lives. And it's saying that that the state must come in and protect us from each other. And the state must come in, or the college administration must protect women from sex.
Well, from demons. And the demons are the males.
Yeah, absolutely. But not just demons from sex itself. Like sex is seen as this sort of dangerous, harmful thing. It's sort of set apart from everything else in the world.
Well, especially then if you say even if it's consensual and you're conscious and you're awake and you enjoy it and you have fun, if you're intoxicated, it is rape.
Yeah, that's why
because it's sex.
That case in Occidental that you raised, I mean, so they say, and I've read the whole report, okay, by the college. The report says, by the college, this was consensual sex, okay, period. And when I read that, I said, okay, case closed. Then I read that he gets expelled because they were both drunk. I don't know what to say about that other than this is lunacy, and it's deeply conservative, and
it's also deeply sexist. How does the guy get expelled and the girl doesn't?
And deeply sexist, exactly right.
That's sexist.
I agree.
It's I mean, no one got hurt. There were kids that liked each other. They were attracted to each other, and they had sex. They were communicating with each other back and forth through text. It wasn't like she didn't like this guy. Yeah. It wasn't like, she was most certainly drunk. But she also was saying to her friend, I'm going to go have sex with this guy.
Right.
The fact that that's not an open and shut case, it exposes the lunacy of this ideology that if exposed to the vast majority of intelligent adult Americans, they would put their foot down and go, wait, what the fuck did you just say?
No, I agree.
What's going on?
I totally agree.
Like, this is a bubble. This ideology is this weird.
It is a bubble. Yeah, I agree. I think it's mostly hysteria. However, look, we agree. Rape happens.
Yes.
Acquaintance rape happens.
Yes.
Husbands rape wives.
Yes.
Boyfriends rape girlfriends all the time, right?
Boyfriends rape boyfriends.
Boyfriends rape. Oh well, you want to talk about prison? So you know that men get raped more often than women in this culture.
Yeah, but they're raped by men, so it's a kind of a moot point.
How's that?
Just shows men are pieces of shit.
Oh,
we rape each other.
Well, sure.
When there's no women to rape, we just rape.
Yeah, the rape rates in prison are absolutely horrifying and underreported.
Yeah.
No, but so what do we do about it, right? And so here's sort of the intrinsic problem with rape, and especially acquaintance rape. There's very rarely any evidence. There's very rarely eyewitnesses. There's very rarely physical evidence. Even if there is physical evidence, you can't prove that bruise proves that this guy raped you, right? So what do you do, right? It's a tough question, and I understand that that's what people are kind of trying to struggle with, and they're trying to come up with these new devices to stop it from happening. I think the devices they're coming up with are terrible, but what do we do? And so one thing, you got to keep working on the criminal justice system. You got to get cops to process those rape kits more efficiently, which they're not doing in many states. There's a lot of rape kits that are sitting on shelves that have never been processed, and you've got to make cops just better at this, which is what feminists have been doing. My mother in the 1960s, that was one of the things she did as a feminist in Berkeley. She pushed hard. She protested against the police forces in the Bay Area to take rape seriously, which cops didn't do for forever until then. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, you'll like this. I say jujitsu, man. Seriously. And the ability to throw an elbow. And there's a group called Incite, which is women of color against violence, who have been doing this. They have martial arts classes, they have martial arts schools, they organize together, and they kick the shit out of men who try to attack them. Now, that's not the ultimate answer. That's not gonna get rid of all rapists, but
it is at least partial solution.
Believe me, if I had a daughter,
yeah,
I'd be telling her to do that.
Yeah, I do have daughters. I teach them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those weird subjects too, where if you discuss it, you become a rape apologist. You become, I mean, you're not even allowed to deviate from the ideology. If you deviate from it in any way, shape, or form, it's
Yeah.
you know, it's a very strict dogma.
Yeah.
I mean, this is non-consensual because she can't consent because she's had a drink. Even if the guy has, I've even seen it written that ladies, like a feminist wrote this blog saying women don't have sex with your man if he's drunk because he can't consent, which is the most ridiculous shit ever. I mean, it's just the whole idea being that sex is evil.
Exactly.
And that's really what it comes down to. You're not talking about people getting hurt. If they decided to get drunk and wrestle.
Yeah.
I mean, is that assault?
Right.
What is that? If they both decide, if a guy and a girl, take martial arts together and the guy, and the girl are drinking and the girl wants to wrestle, is she not allowed to consent that she actually wants to wrestle because she's been drinking? It's only applied to sexuality. It's not applied to driving. If you're driving under the influence, you are absolutely, totally responsible. If you're smashed, no one says, hey, she couldn't consent to driving because she was drunk. You're responsible for your actions entirely, except sexually.